Hi, everyone. Welcome to Workforce TV, presented by Government Workforce Network LLC. Our mission is to build income opportunity and well being by helping people better understand today's workforce. After spending, 20 years in human resources, I have participated many of recruitment. And one thing I learned is that applicants usually only see a very small part of that hiring process. So today I'd like to take you behind the scenes so you can better understand what employers and human resources are doing after your interview. Now, many applicants believe that hiring manager makes the decision, immediately after the interview. But in reality, that's rarely how it works. So once interviews are completed, several steps often take place before a hiring decision can be finalized. Now, interview panel members, review their notes, scores may be completed, human resources reviews the documentation, references may be checked, background investigations or credential verification may begin. And some organizations, also require additional management approvals before extending an offer. But, just an FYI, some interviews are not scored, okay? So some are scored and some are timed. So it really depends on the organization's process. Now, the interview is important, but it's only one part of the much larger process. Now, why hiring decisions, sometimes take longer than expected? So one of the biggest, frustrations applicants experience is waiting. No, days become weeks, weeks become months, and it's natural to wonder what's happening. So the reality is that delays don't always mean you weren't, selected. Sometimes hiring managers are coordinating, schedules. Sometimes approvals take longer than expected. Sometimes organizations are filling multiple vacancies at the same time, and sometimes funding or administrative, reviews delays the process. So every organization operates differently, like I mentioned earlier. So while waiting can be frustrating, silence doesn't automatically mean rejection. Sometimes the process is simply still moving forward behind the scenes. So one of the questions I hear, most often is, why don't employers simply tell us, whether we were selected? But of course, that's a fair question because I would question that the same thing. So as an applicant, you've invested your time, preparing your application yourself, researching the organization, attending the interview, and then waiting for a decision. And of course, you deserve closure. So ideally, every applicant would receive communication about the outcome of the recruitment. But the reality, however, is that organizations have different systems. They have staffing levels, political, no, policies and processes. Some employers automatically notify, every applicant. Others notify only the selected candidate, and some wait until every approval has been completed before they send before sending any notifications. So having worked in human resources, I understand, both perspectives. But applicants deserve timely communication because it demonstrates professionalism and respect. And at the same time, human resources professionals and hiring managers are often, balancing multiple recruitment, operational priorities, and administrative requirements. So whenever possible, organizations should strive to communicate with applicants, even if it's simply letting them know the recruitment has concluded because it's not fair for them. Now, good communications, it builds trust, and trust is threatens an organization's reputation. So many applicants believe, hiring decisions are based on one perfect interview answer. In reality, panels evaluate much more than that. So they're looking at the complete picture. And one, of the things that they consider, like they ask, can this person perform the essential duties? Did they clearly answer the questions? Did they provide relevant examples? Do they demonstrate professionalism? Would they work well within the team? Now, sometimes, two outstanding candidates compete for one position. So not being selected doesn't necessarily mean you perform poorly. Sometimes another candidate is simply a better fit for that particular, opportunity. So my recommendation is simple. Continue applying for other opportunities. Don't stop, don't pause your job search waiting for one employer. Reflect on your interview. You ask yourself, what did I do well? What could I improve? Every interview, helps build confidence and experience. And finally, remain professional, because you never know when another opportunity may become available with that same organization. So the way you conduct yourself today may leave a positive impression for future opportunities. So the biggest lesson I'd like you to remember today is this: the interview is not the end of the hiring process. It's one step within a much larger process than applicants often don't see. Understanding what happens behind the scenes can reduce frustration and help manage expectations and better prepare you for future opportunities. At the same time, organizations should continue improving the candidate experience through clear and timely communication whenever possible. A hiring process isn't just about selecting the right candidate, it is also about treating every applicant with professional professionalism and respect. So thank you for joining us, for another discussion. And our goal is to help applicants, employers, any organizations and workforce leaders, better understand today's workforce and create stronger connections between talent and opportunity. So if you found, today's discussion valuable, please share it with your, students or anyone that you think that it will benefit them. And if there is a workforce topic that you'd like us to discuss in a future episode, we'd love to hear from you. Okay, so feel free to share this video, and the next episode will be a very interesting topic. It is basically about um, technique in interviewing and how to understand the whole picture of recruitment and interview process while responding to the question. So I'm so excited, and we can't wait until next time. Thank you.